Do you ever just feel completely drained? Like you're putting in all this effort, working harder than ever, but you're just not getting anywhere? And if you see one more productivity hack, you might just lose it. Well, today we're going to get to the bottom of that feeling. We're going to look at a solution that is so much more than just managing your time. It's about figuring out what game you're actually playing in the first place. Let's start with this because it really hits home. Every single minute we spend stuck or procrastinating, it's not just gone. It's literally an investment we are stealing from the person we could be tomorrow. The stakes are just so incredibly high. That wasted time is potential that you're never, ever getting back. And look, if you feel this way, you are far from alone. This number, 74%, that's how many working professionals say they feel the crushing weight of burnout. It's this massive silent epidemic, and it's all fueled by this idea that we just have to push harder, do more, and power through the exhaustion. But what if the problem isn't us? What if the problem is the battle we're trying to fight? Right? So the real issue here isn't about a lack of effort. It's that we are fundamentally fighting our own biology. Think about it. Your brain has an operating system. It has rules. It has limits. And when we ignore those rules, when we treat our minds like they're machines that should be on 24/7, we just end up exhausted and inefficient. The secret isn't more willpower. It's finally reading the instruction manual for our own brain. Okay, so let's open up that manual. And I want you to think of these not as hacks, but as the core principles for working with your brain's natural flow instead of constantly fighting it. This is all about managing your energy, not just your time. So, first up, our brains work in these 90-minute cycles. High focus, then a dip, where you need to recover. If you try to push past that, it's like redlining a car engine. You're just creating stress and burning yourself out. Second, stop trying to be a morning person if you're not. Most of us aren't. Find your personal peak energy time and guard it with your life. And third, and this one sounds a little weird, but trust me, stop working when you're in the middle of a good flow and you know exactly what comes next. It sounds crazy, but it gets rid of all that friction when you start up again tomorrow. Now, that last tip about stopping mid-sentence works because of this really fascinating thing our brains do called the Zeigarnik effect. See, our minds are basically wired to obsess over things that are unfinished. Now, this can be a total curse, right? It's what creates all that background stress from a million open loops, unread emails, little to-dos. But if you use it on purpose, like stopping your most important project mid-flow, it becomes a superpower. Your brain stays hooked and keeps working on the problem for you even when you're not. And to lighten that mental load even more, we have to stop wasting willpower on tiny, meaningless decisions. So here are a few simple systems. First, the big three. Before you go to bed, just decide on the 3 most important things you need to do tomorrow. That's it. Second, use if-then plans. You basically create automatic triggers for your habits. Studies show this little trick can literally double your chances of success. And finally, when you finish any task, write down the exact next physical action. Not work on report, but open the spreadsheet and create the chart for Q3 sales. It's a tiny step, but it completely eliminates that what do I do now decision fatigue. Okay, so you've got the toolkit, you're working in sprints, you're automating your decisions, you're basically a productivity ninja. But what if you still feel like you're spinning your wheels? Well, this is where we have to zoom way out. Because having the perfect strategy is completely useless if you're playing the wrong game to begin with. See, most of us just assume there's one set of rules for success in life. You work hard, you're consistent, and you'll get ahead. But that's not the reality. The truth is, there are 2 fundamentally different games being played, and they have almost opposite sets of rules. On one side, you've got the world of averages. This is where your efforts just add up. Think of a restaurant. Good food, plus good service, plus a nice atmosphere. It all adds up to a good, predictable business. But then there's the world of outliers. Here, effects multiply. One single thing can cause explosive, totally unpredictable growth. The big difference here really comes down to the math behind them. The world of averages is run by a normal distribution, the classic bell curve. Most things bunch up right around the middle. But the world of outliers, that's run by something called a power law. And here, the average is totally meaningless because a few rare, massive events decide everything. That restaurant needs to be good every single night, but a venture capital firm, it can have 99 investments fail because that one single runaway hit, that one outlier, pays for all of it and then some. To really wrap your head around just how strange the world of outliers is, let's play a quick game. It's called the St. Petersburg Paradox. We flip a coin. If you get heads on the first try, you win $2. If it takes 2 flips, you win $4. 3 flips, you win 8. The prize just keeps doubling. So the big question is, how much would you be willing to pay to play this game?
The answer is what completely breaks our intuition. I mean, most of the time, you're going to win just a few dollars, right? But that tiny, tiny, infinitesimal chance that you hit a huge string of tails and win a massive, life-changing payout, it's so significant that the actual mathematical expected value of this game is infinite.
And this brings us to the most important point of all. In a power law world, the average is a complete lie. It's kind of like calculating the average net worth of a room full of people that happens to include Jeff Bezos. His wealth just skews the numbers so ridiculously high that the average tells you nothing useful about anyone else there. Success isn't about being average. It is defined 100% by the rare, massive outlier. Okay, so what do we do with this information? Well, once you see this difference between the two worlds, you start seeing it absolutely everywhere. And figuring out which game you're in, that is the whole key to picking the right strategy and, you guessed it, avoiding burnout.
So, I want you to really think about your own career for a second. Is it a normal distribution world, like being an airline pilot or a chef, where success means consistent, excellent performance day in and day out? Or are you in a power law world, like a YouTuber, an author, an entrepreneur, where success is all about finding that one video, that one book, that one idea that just takes off and grows like crazy?
And this is how we tie it all back to that feeling of burnout. A huge amount of our frustration comes from using a world of averages strategy in a world of outliers game. Just imagine an entrepreneur getting totally discouraged because their first 50 ideas didn't create a nice, steady income. They're looking for consistency in a game that actually demands persistence through failure after failure. So those are the two paths. You have consistency, which is for games where your efforts add up and the average really matters. You show up, you do good work every day, you get a reliable result. And then you have persistence, which is for games where things multiply. You have to make a ton of smart bets, except that almost all of them are going to fail, and just keep going until you finally hit that one outlier that changes absolutely everything.
So this really brings us to the most important question of all. You have to take a second and actually diagnose your own life. What are the real, unwritten rules that determine success in your field and for your own goals?
And I mean, ask yourself these questions, honestly. Does your career reward you for being steady and reliable every single day? Or are you in a creative or business field where you have to keep swinging for the fences, knowing that most of your swings will be misses, but one home run wins the whole game? Your strategy has to match the game you're in.
But when you get right down to it, the ultimate fix for burnout isn't about habits or even strategy. It's about finding the work that you love so much it doesn't even feel like work. And that search, the search for your calling, is the ultimate power law game. Most things you try won't be it, but finding that one career that gives you infinite returns and just pure fulfillment, well, that's the outlier that changes your entire life.
So I'm just going to leave you with this one thought. Take a really hard look at the ladder you're climbing. Look at the game you're playing day after day. Are all your habits, all your effort, and all your focus being spent trying to win a game that you don't even want the prize for? The choice is yours, but the clock is definitely ticking.